welcome to Enquire to Choir. My name is Eva. I'm so sleepy today, but I'm still here to help you, fellow choir people. Before this video officially starts, I just want to say that yes, this is a very long video, but I want you to stick around and watch it. If you're here, that says that you don't have a lot of people to talk to when it comes to conducting or managing a choir. So in this video, I will give you my perspectives and I will talk about my experience when it comes to choir competitions. As you may know, I was not trained as a choir conductor. I was trained as a pianist. So I will talk a little bit about my background because it influences my opinion about competitions. Then I will talk about my experiences with choir competitions because I've attended 3 of them and I learned a lot, and I want to actually explain some of my thoughts stated in the videos before this one about choir competitions. I'm going to talk about my mistakes, what I would have done differently now, what I learned, what I was unhappy about, etc. Then I want to start a discussion about amateur choirs entering choir competitions. Are choir competitions useful in general, and especially for amateur choirs? And then in the end, yes, I'm actually going to talk about my opinions on how to win a choir competition. But I have to say that I think that the whole video is actually talking about this because if you learn from my mistakes, I think you're one step closer. So grab a cup of tea and let's start with this choir conductor's vlog. First, let me talk about my education as a musician. As I said, I'm a pianist. I attended elementary music school, high school of music, and then I entered the Academy of Music. To enter the Academy of Music, you have to pass the entering exam, and that is something everyone is struggling with because it takes a lot of preparation, it defines your future, and maybe it's not all just about the actual playing, the actual performance at this exam. Maybe it helps that the jury and the committee who's deciding on whether you pass that exam and whether you are qualified to enter the Academy of Music, it helps that those people know you. And the way those people can know of you is to enter competitions as a younger person, because those professors are sitting in the juries of those competitions. So 10 years before the Academy, I entered every single piano competition there was. My education wasn't about loving what you do. My education was you need to pass the entering exam, so you need to go to the competitions and the music you play is as good as your scoring is. How that influenced me? Well, first of all, I lost every love of piano playing. The problem with those competitions and the scoring and always playing to get the score was the fact that I never played because I loved it. I mean, I did love it, but I was never aware. And I couldn't define what I loved, what composers I loved, or what pieces I loved, because it was all about getting the program which was set by the competition criteria. For 10 years, I was under the conditions for a certain competition, which was next in my life, and never by my desire for a certain kind of music. When I started working as a choir conductor, the reason I went into amateur choirs was because they were doing everything out of their own love and desire for it. Not to get paid, not to get a score, but just because they love it. And that is why I am in this field, because I love that fact. And I never thought, I was very against competitions, and I never thought that I was gonna go or that I would want to enter a choir competition with my choir, because to me it's really not about the awards, because I know they don't work. I mean, they do, but not so much. But I actually did. Why? Because I realized that, first of all, that is a huge platform. If you want your choir to be heard, then a competition is a great way to do it. But the main reason why I did it was because I lacked an objective opinion about the choir. The choir sounded good to me, the choir sounded great to other people, but I needed someone as objective as the person could be, who knows things about choirs and who has the experience when deciding if a choir is good or bad. So after a few years, I think it was 4 years of working with my female vocal ensemble, we decided to go to my first and their first competition. I learned a lot at that competition. I made some rookie mistakes, but it was actually a very complicated competition. First of all, a good friend of mine was in the organizing committee, and she said to me a few months in advance, there's gonna be a competition, you better enter, it's gonna be great. There's a category for you. It's vocal ensembles, small vocal ensembles, which you are, and it's great for you. I want you to be heard. I want the ensemble to be heard. Go. And I said, okay, but what are the conditions and who is in the jury? And she said, well, I don't know about the jury, but the conditions are going to be a free program. Maybe one national composer, but a free program. That was very important to me because we are not singing classical music. We sing a popular repertoire, modern pop songs, a cappella. We are a good quality ensemble with difficult arrangements. I would know because I write them. But we don't sing classical music, and we never did. And I said to her, okay, we're going to this competition, I will apply, and the ensemble agreed. A few weeks after, the jury, which was meant to be at this competition, changed. And suddenly, it was all full of people who are professional classical musicians, working with professional orchestras, with professional choirs, with a huge knowledge, but never, ever had they worked with amateur choirs. And never worked with modern music, and they changed the program. They changed the conditions about the repertoire. And now they demanded a Renaissance motet, which I mentioned actually in the previous video. Now you know where that comes from, because I'm sure you thought that it was very specific of me. But okay, so 4 pieces. One of them has to be a Renaissance motet, which we have never ever done. I mean, come on. A classical piece from a national composer, but it's a classical, it had to be a classical piece. And 2 more pieces ad libitum. And what do you do? I mean, we already said that we were gonna be there. So, okay, we're gonna enter this competition. I wanted to keep the identity for my ensemble. 2 free pieces I chose were modern. I said, okay, we're gonna do the motet, we're gonna do a classical piece. I managed to find something which was okay for us, but I don't want to struggle with 2 more unknown pieces in a style we have never ever done before. So I'm gonna choose something we already know, which is difficult enough, demanding enough for a competition. Well, I don't know if that was a mistake, and I don't know if I would do something differently. First of all, they didn't get it. It was very obvious that the motet and the classical national piece was very new to us in style. It was okay. The intonation was very good. The technique was okay. But it just sounded like it was not ours. And then when our usual music came, they just didn't get it because they never worked with modern music, and the sound and the arrangement was very unusual to them, and they just didn't get it. And they said that choosing that repertoire was not logical. And I thought to myself, well, yeah, I know, but what was I supposed to do? I mean, we are not a classical music ensemble. So I'm sure that was a mistake, but I am not sure that I wouldn't do it again, because I think it's important to think about your choir ensemble members, to really think about what they're doing and not to sell them out for a competition. We were actually the only ensemble who applied. When other ensembles saw that there is a Renaissance motet, nobody applied for it because it was insane. It wasn't made for the amateur ensembles they were aiming for. So that said something. The problem with that competition was the jury. I respect them, but they have never worked with amateurs. And what happened? The scoring, not just for us, but for the whole competition, was so condescending. We were so mad. It was like they were telling us, you are not a professional. And I felt so used. I actually wasn't unhappy with the scores we got. We were bronze medals scores, and it was okay. I'm very realistic when it comes to that. The whole competition was really, it didn't feel right afterwards. I felt used, and it felt like I put my ensemble through something they didn't deserve, and I felt very protective of them when it came to that competition. I never actually got the written critique afterwards, but I really don't want to know, because I talked to them and they were so mean. They were so mean. I wouldn't mind that if we were really bad, which we were not, but if we were really bad, tell me everything I need to fix and I will fix it. If it's a long list of 500 items, okay. I have something to work with. I have some feedback. But this was not a constructive criticism. This was just being mean and actually saying that amateur choirs and amateur ensembles cannot do classical music. Did I enter that competition ever again? No. Am I thinking about it because it's in a few months' time? Yes. Why? I don't know. But the best reason I can give you is it's been 2 years. I think we're better now. I think I took the criticism and did something with it. And I demanded that the only way we're gonna enter is if there is a category, a true category for us, which is popular music. Popular. Because the thing about popular music and choirs is you don't have to do it the trivial way. The arrangements can be very difficult, are very difficult. And the rhythms and the whole energy, come on. I mean, I respect classical music, but it's not the only way to do music, right? And I learned about choosing the repertoire and choosing if I really have to go, if I really want to go and put my ensemble through it, because I didn't really think about the possibility that the jury could be mean. It just never occurred to me because it's an amateur choir competition. And the first thing you have to think about amateur choirs is their motivation. So it just never occurred to me that that could happen. But I learned my lesson, and I hope you think about this too. The second competition I entered was with my mixed choir, and we also sing popular music. We don't dance. I have to say that we don't dance because I study a lot of choirs on the internet because I'm doing this channel, and I have to say that I'm truly amazed by how many choirs are dancing, because I live in Europe and it's just not a thing. I don't want to say anything wrong. I respect it so much. I'm just saying that it's a cultural difference. So it really opened my eyes when and that is my favorite part of doing this channel, even though it's very small. But it's broadened my perspective on many things. But to get back to the point, the competition was designed for them. The category was popular music. You need to have 8 to 12 minutes of repertoire. You had to have one a cappella piece, which we had. We have known everything from before. It was really ready, and I was like, we're going to go to the competition. And the main reason I wanted to go was, one, I learned something from the last competition, and I want to see if I actually learned something. And the second and the most crucial part was the fact who was in the jury. In the jury, 3 men, because of course, why would a female be in a choir competition jury? But I will not talk about this now. So yeah, 3 men. One of them was an older gentleman he is the boss when it comes to choirs in my country. He really knows choir singing and all kinds of choir singing, but he's more on the classical side, but he's not a classical musician. He's seen it all. The second person is a choir conductor who formed a very successful female amateur choir who sings popular music, and he did it all by himself, and he really became very successful, and I respect him very much because of that choir. So he has the experience. And the third person is a classical choir conductor who did amazingly well, but an amateur choir is his best choir. It's a huge choir, but it's one of the best choirs there is in my country, and they work with philharmonics all the time. So the jury was very impressive to me because I knew that they could understand me, they could understand the choir, what it's all about, and they could give me objective feedback because they know what they're talking about. Their opinion is an opinion I would like to hear. That competition was amazing. The repertoire we performed was exceptionally well chosen, and they said that to me because we had a wide range. We started with a cappella, very meditative, very complicated polyphonic modern arrangements. The second piece was a national popular modern song, and the third piece was unusual, but it's a showstopper and very memorable. So they were very impressed by the choice for the repertoire. The performance itself, it was so good. Everyone was applauding. I could see in between 2 pieces that the jury was very impressed. So I was very, very happy, and the energy was just amazing. Did we win? No, we did not. In our category, you had to have 90 for gold, but we won silver, we won second place, and we had 89.33. I was really bummed, and the choir was too, but then I had to gain some perspective, and the first thing was I would rather have a very the highest possible silver than the last gold, and I actually thought that the scoring was really fair because I know there were certain things we could do better when it comes to the technique, but it was an exceptional experience. And the best part was when I received the written critique a few months later. I keep the critique in my phone when I'm feeling unmotivated. It was the best critique of my life. They were so praising, but it was a constructive criticism, I still got a very constructive criticism and some things they wanted to say that were not very good. But the whole critique was very praising, and the details they mentioned, which they appreciated in the performance, I was literally crying for a week. And they were very, very positive, very encouraging, still critical, but very encouraging. It was just amazing, and I felt so understood, and I felt good for my choir, because it was important for their future to realize that even people who are in the biz and who have never heard them before, because that was the truth, they never heard them before, it was important for them to hear that they are good. So that was an exceptional experience, and I would do that again every day. The third competition was a few months ago. Actually, I already talked about that competition. It inspired the video How to Recognize a Good Choir Competition for You. All I'm gonna say that I'm never going to that choir competition again. It was not about the awards, it was not about critiques, it was about the level of organization, and it was about the fact that we were just wasting our time. Okay, so after all this, do I believe in choir competitions? Yes and no. I think it's very important to realize that it's not about the award. But it's very difficult to think about that way, because if you're going to a competition, you are working for getting an award, right? Because you have to have that competitiveness in yourself and in your choir. You have to aim for the award. You have to aim for a great performance and to be liked by the jury. So it's not about the awards, but you're working for the awards. I'm just saying that for example, the choir president, the choir director of the mixed choir never wants to go to a choir competition again, because he said to me, I respect him dearly, and we have a great working relationship. So I don't want to go against him, and I respect his views, so it's okay. But he was really disappointed by the scores, because he didn't understand how a great performance and a great critique could result in not winning. But still, we got so much from it, and I just thought that maybe in the future, if he changed his mind, we could go. The thing is, I learned a lot, if you know what I mean. I learned a lot, and I've attended competitions in the sense, I was in the audience. If you ever think about attending the whole competition, that's a huge thing you can do, because you learn so much just to be in the audience, just to listen to every choir and giving them scores on your own, and then you compare them to the results of the jury voting. That's an amazing thing you can do. Yeah, so would I go to a choir competition again? I think so. I think they are useful because you get an objective opinion, maybe. If you choose the right choir competition and not a vanity choir competition, but the right one, you can benefit a lot from it. But I have to say that if your choir is not prepared for losing, for the possibility of losing or being scored really harshly and getting some really bad reviews, then I don't know. I think it's like with every competition in the world. The Winter Olympics are right now, so the psychological preparation you have to go through when you are the favorite, it's a huge one. Are choir competitions useful in general? Yes, they are, because you can get an award and you can get recognition, and it's a very good thing for a choir to have an award in their biography. As I said in one of my previous videos, it doesn't matter which competition, because most of the people, especially if you're working with amateur choirs, the public, the audience doesn't know which competition is a great competition. So to have an award from a competition is really great. I think they're useful. It's useful for networking, for seeing how your choir and you as their conductor works under that kind of a pressure, because it's a different kind of pressure. It's a specific kind of work and performance. If you're working with amateur choirs, pick very carefully. Before the second choir competition I talked about, I gave a speech to my choir explaining them that competitions work in specific ways and the scoring works in specific ways, and just because it could go either way, I don't know what the jury will think. I think this is good. People think that you're good, but I don't know what a person who has heard all of the choirs in the country will think of you. How to actually win a choir competition, you can tell me, because as you can see, if you're here still, I never actually won a choir competition, but that's okay. I thought about it a lot, and I think it's about the mindset of doing everything. It just has to have everything, and it's not just about the intonation or making everything work or being in tune. It has to have the level of skill which is for a competition. It's not about just being good, it's about being the best. It's about taking care of everything. It's about caring about the whole picture of the music piece, the whole repertoire, every possible place in every possible score has to be taken care of in an idea which makes sense and is true to your choir, and it's about the level of imagination perhaps and everything about that. So how to win a choir competition: choose the right repertoire, choose the right choir competition, be ready, don't do it in a rush, don't give it time, prepare in advance, and take care of every possible little detail. Don't leave a place, a bar, half a bar, one note which is not thought out. Think about everything and try to do everything. And if you can manage to do everything, then be aware of the fact that not everything is taken care of. So the scoring maybe is not going to be that was the reason why I was eventually happy with 89.33, because I know there was some stuff which could have been better. Not in a sense they were bad, but they just could be better. So go to choir competitions. I think they're useful with the right mindset, not just your as their leader, but the members as well, you know? Do that. Take care of them, keep them motivated, and go for it. And watch the whole choir competitions playlist, because I think it's very useful. Okay, this was such a long video. I talked so much. I'm so thirsty right now, but it was worth it. If you stayed till the very end, thank you so much. I am so impressed by you. I hope this was helpful. I hope I am becoming a person you can talk to and who helps you with certain things. And if you wish to talk to me, go to Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. I am actually there. I'm still not opening the comments for my videos, because let me tell you, there are a lot of new YouTube channels and they keep commenting sub for sub, and I don't want to go there. So talk to me on Facebook and I will reply. In the next few weeks there will be a lot of interesting topics, random topics, and one request video is coming up, which is the first one. If you wish to be informed when new videos are here, you can subscribe and click on the notification bell sign. Thank you for watching. Hope your tea or coffee was very good, and I'll see you next time. Bye!